Hey YouTube! A Bad Act is an ode to a bad account by Sidney 600 in ginstr. It's very similar to Penger in chart structure, and since a bad account is a pretty clean and technical player, that's the focus of the difficulty on this one. There's 4 big chunks of solos, each with complicated methods that aren't exactly new, but they're different enough to require new muscle memory and timing fundamentals, which I heavily practiced building the previous 2 days before this FC. Funnily enough, this FC was my first try past solo too, so if nothing else, that proves that practice pays off. I don't want to take up too much time at the beginning of this video since it's only a grade 12, so I'm going to skim over the challenges of each solo. As always, these sort of explanation style videos have timestamps and video chapters if you're the kind of viewer who just wants to see the accomplishment. Let's get to it. The first part of the first solo, labeled Solo 1 and 1.5, are pretty basic. 2 requires periodic double taps, which I opt for a 2-finger downwards rake tap on. Looks pretty steezy and is pretty easy for me. The bit right after that is really awkward to tap cleanly. I started the third blob with a fret instead of a tap to make this little 4-fret zig pattern start with my tapping hand, so I didn't have to do any funky methods to compensate. Solo 2 is probably the hardest solo. This triplet pattern here is simple to break down if you watch it in slow motion, but actually getting my hands to tap this method was a struggle. This might make 0 sense, but I was trying to mentally separate each 10 motion cycle into sets of 4, 4, and 2 like this. The method starts on the second input of the first set of 4 motions, so this whole thing is technically a reverse method. If that's all gibberish, I'll work on a new Clone Hero dictionary video soon, so subscribe. This chimney pattern is whack because it's a set of 5. Getting that muscle memory down wasn't as bad as the ascending trip pattern, but it was its own form of jank. The sections solo 4, 5, and 5.5 were a little tricky, but nothing too difficult for me. The chords in solo 6 here are pretty mean though. There's a chording fundamental that I built over my time practicing Wii charts where you can use the anchor slide of a chord that you just slid off of to input a hopo between 2 single-space double chords. Additionally, the muscle memory from Before I Forget speed-ups comes into play with the finger trade-off on the red-blue to yellow-orange chord bit here. The last red hopo then gets picked up as I'm fretting the first chord of each cycle. The third solo has a lot of really complicated methods. I got these down a bit easier than the second solo though, since they were borrowing off concepts from Penger and Parabolic. I won't lie though, I did rage quit my first practice session of this chart because for some reason I missed this part like 6 times in a row on full solo 3 attempts. I didn't have any problem with it the following day, so I'm gonna just chalk it up to my brain waging internal warfare. I'll make it sit through the diabolical strumming medley later to get back at it. The fourth and final solo is pretty scary. I over-practiced the heck out of it because the very final part of the solo is honestly really difficult and chokeable. I lucked out not having any runs die on this part. That's all for the explanation. Here's the FC. And then maybe it'll give me access to it the first time I unlock live, instead of not doing it at all. I don't feel like it'd be that difficult to get back to the same point I was with my TikTok. Like 41k followers with my kind of content is just get 5 viral videos. Normally, on YouTube that would be terrifying. On TikTok it's not a big deal. My favorite song out of the top level Clone Hero charts? Cosmic Embassy. Definitely not the chart on that one, but it just sounds so good. Doing pretty good, Dio. Hope you're doing well. It's easy as that. Cool. I didn't even get my PB score, so forever second place is not going to be an FC. I guess this is my time to voice a formal complaint. I don't like that. I wish the FC showed, even if it was a lower score. Nitpick, whatever. A bad act FC, first ever.
Why, Brett, why? Shut up.
Thank you, Tony Hawk. No, I can always count on you.